got an absolutely stunning card today showing off the new butterfly frame and Pixie Powders. They're so much fun to play with. Let me just give you a quick look at the couple of products we'll be using. Here is the butterfly frame. And the sentiment I'm using comes from the Live, Laugh, Love sentiment set, the fluttering by up here. And I'm going to use the Pixie Powders. So just to show those off to you, I've got Purple Violet, Midnight Blue, Aqua Lagoon, and Teal Wash. And we're going to start right there with our Pixie Powders. So first thing I do is I always protect my work surface with a bit of wax paper. They're messy, but they're fun, okay? And I also like to do a large piece of card when I do this. Even if I'm only going to use a little bit of it, I can use it for other things. So I find it's easiest just to give a little bit of tape onto the edges here, hold it into place, and we're going to give it a very light spritz to begin with. Just some water, just to sort of soak into that fiber. Now, Pixie Powders are interesting in that they are highly pigmented. You don't need much. In fact, you always don't think you have enough, and you have a lot. It's the only way I can describe it. So you don't want to squeeze them, you want to tap them. And sometimes you'll have to give them a little tap, get them away from the opening, and then lean them back over, tap it again, okay? So this is your Purple Violet. We'll go with the Midnight Blue here. Pop a few in here, and you can see it doesn't look like a lot. Tap it. You have to really resist the urge to squeeze, let me tell you. Okay. We'll go on to the Aqua Lagoon. A little bit of this. Just sort of spread it all around, and you can always add a little bit more, so don't worry about that. Okay, and the last one is the Teal Wash. Bit here, move it all around. That one's getting a little stuck. There we go, try it again. Okay, so if you look at that, it doesn't really look like a lot. What we want to do now is just see how much we actually have there. So I'm going to bring my water back in, spritz that. And you can see the water just activates it and brings it to life. Okay, if you want to bring in a little more color there, let's go back with the blue. Add in a tiny bit more, fill it in. And you can see as it hits the water, it starts to activate. Go. And what I love about these, especially like your purples and whatnot, you'll end up with some pinks that come through. The blues and the greens will have a little bit different shades in each of them. So you can just keep going until you're happy with how the color looks. Add a little bit more water, and they'll get brighter and brighter. Okay. Now I've gone ahead and done a piece ahead of time, but what I wanted to show you was you can dry these with the heat tool. You can get them to sort of mix in together. You can also bring in a piece of kitchen roll and tap off some of the wetness to it. Add more color to it if you like. So there's just so many different ways you can build up the color with this. If I finish this and decide I want a piece that's needs more blue in it, I can add that, spritz it, do the whole thing over again. A lot of different options there. Now I'm going to show you the one that I've done earlier, and you can see the difference. I've added a lot more color to that, so it's just really vibrant. So you can get anything from a very subtle background, lots of white showing through, to something that's virtually solid. It's absolutely lovely. But I did a large piece of that, and I've cut it down to size, and I'm going to use other pieces of it in another video. So let's just move this aside now. Clean it up, pop this behind us. And the other thing with Pixie Powders is you do want to make sure that there's nothing left on your mat because that is so highly pigmented. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to the side and bring in our butterfly frame. And I've got a piece of white card that is 6 inches square. Like always, this frame has no outside cutting edge. So I'm just going to layer it right into the center there. Tape it into place. We'll give it a quick cut. Let's pop these back on our lid so we don't knock them over. There we go. Okay, so pop this onto our cutting plate and find my top. Okay, there we go. There's a lot of detail on this die, and it is a very wide die, so double check to make sure that you've got it all cut properly. Got a little bit here and here that I think needs another second cut, so let's just turn that. So those are on this side now, and run it back through. Okay. That looks better. Bring in our two-in-one that'll take out all the larger pieces. Okay. There we go. Pop that into place. And let me do a quick tidy up. Okay, there's still a little bit here that needs to be done, but what I want to show you is I've gone ahead and done an edge on the original card with the Paved Pearls, but I have also added a bit of piercing. So I thought I would just do a row of that to show you what it looks like. I'm going to bring in my piercing ruler. I'm going to line it up with the edge of the card. So I'm just lined up equally there. I like to use the little stick pins and bring them in 2 holes on either side, like that, holding the ruler in place and poking the pokey tool through each of those holes. And then move your hand and hold your fingers right close to where you're piercing and just move it along as you go, keeping that ruler extra steady. There we go. When you get to the corner where your stick pins are, you can get as close as you can, and then usually I'll take it out to do the last hole there. So now I've got a really nice pierced edge there. I can turn that and start in that same hole that I stopped in, go all the way around the edge. So what I will end up with is something that looks just like that, okay? And I've gone ahead and taken out all the little bits on that one. So what we'll do is we'll add that piece that we've cut right here. So I'm going to use a little bit of spray glue just to make it a tiny bit quicker. Get all of that butterfly area. And let's go this direction here. Just covering that. Pop it down nice. Get underneath there. So you can see absolutely beautiful. That looks showing through with those butterflies. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is do my sentiment. So I've used the center of that frame, which has these pretty little lines, and I've cut another frame. So I end up with a white frame. I backed it into white. So I white on white, and then I've used that center piece to cut the center out of it. So I have a nice little piece there with some mounting foam on the back. I'm going to add that right over the top of my sentiment. Just center it over that. There we go. Looks nice like that, and I'm going to add that right into the middle of the card, and I think I'll just put a little bit of glue on the back. There we go. Okay, now the next step I thought I would show you is what I call the Paved Pearls. Now when I do these, I like to take the original piece that's going to be in the middle, cut a little bit wider of a mat, an area to add those pearls, and then I'll bring a pencil in and just put dots so I know exactly where that centerpiece is going to sit. Okay, then using the Cosmic Shimmer brand white PVA. This is not a pearl, this is just a white. The way that I do this is I'll take my one side at a time, and usually you can take and just find a piece of scrap paper or something and make sure that you're your glue is flowing, you don't have any blobs at the end, nothing that's plugging it up. Make sure it's all good, and then I'll go over, and I always start with large pearls, just randomly put across the bottom of one side. And if you notice, I'm not touching at all. I'm just letting that flow off of there. And then I'll go back through and sort of add in some smaller ones and just randomly dot them around in different places. Because what you want ultimately is a very random look on this. And then I can go back in with some even smaller ones in little spots. And as you notice, I'm not touching the tip of that anywhere to the card. I'm just letting that pearl roll off. I can still go back in and add larger pieces like that, little ones, tiny ones. Just let the glue roll off the end until I go through and I completely fill up one side. I'll turn it, do the other side, and go all the way around, and then set that aside to dry overnight. And then when it's all completely finished, I have a piece that looks like this, and I've added a bit of mounting foam in the center here. And we are going to put our beautiful Pixie Pearl powdered piece right into the middle of that to complete the card. I just think that's absolutely stunning. So easy to do. And each and every time you do your Pixie Pearls, you're going to have a completely different look. So it's so much more fun that way. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll be sending you emails with all the new ones when they're uploaded.